Hey, my name is Wouter. I'm the founder and CEO of DecisionVault, and in this video I'll do a quick comparison between Clio's intake and using DecisionVault's intake. And to be clear, we're making a comparison here between using Clio Grow's intake forms and syncing that information into Clio Manage, or using DecisionVault for your intake and syncing that into Clio Manage, or into one of the other many tools that we directly integrate with. Now, there's three things that I want to talk about. The first is how do these tools handle, and let's compare how they handle the intake of contacts, right? So if you have a matter where you might have one or two clients, they may have children, the clients may have some siblings, there may be some grandparents involved. So all in, there's quite a lot of contacts that you might need to gather from your client to draft documents for them or what have you. And the way that Clio Grow handles this is it lets you build up this intake questionnaire, and you need to define in advance what the different contacts are. So I have here my information, or the client's information, the spouse, partner, child 1, 2, and 3, relative, other contact 1, 2, and 3. I don't really know in advance who these people are going to be, right? Like the sister or the brother or the grandparent or the grandmother. So I'm just calling them relative, other contact 1 and 2 and 3. And the tricky thing about this is that these contacts are not showing up in sort of a dynamic or conditional logic way. So it means that when we run this questionnaire, it will make it required to fill in the information on me as a client, the information on my spouse, partner, which means that usually people then build intake questionnaires separate for the single folks, for the married folks. But it gets trickier because like even the children here, right? I may have 3 children, and here on the questionnaire, there are 3 children, so I can fill these in. Or if I have 2 children, then I don't have a 3rd child, but the field is required. Each of these contact fields becomes required. Same for the relative other contacts. So usually then people take this and adjust it to just text and have the person write down the names of their children. But now you lose the ability to then create contacts and sync it over to your other tools. So it doesn't handle many contacts very well. Like if you have like the whole family that I showed, you cannot really do that here because every family will be different and the tool just doesn't adapt well to that. Let's look at DecisionVault instead. So here in DecisionVault, I don't have to define all this in advance of how many children the client has. I can just keep adding a list of children. I can keep adding in several places in the questionnaire other people. I can make some lists here of potential people in roles for trustee or medical power of attorney, financial power of attorney. And I can have the client add people, extra people here, and at the same time ask them, how does this person relate to you? So I don't just know, oh, it's relative other contact 1. No, I know that they are like the uncle or the brother or the mother-in-law. So in DecisionVault, then we can keep track of any number of contacts. Like this is our demo matter, has lots of contacts. You can put 100 contacts on the DecisionVault questionnaire, no problem. And all those 100 will then sync over right into Clio Manage at the end, right? So DecisionVault will handle capturing all the contacts in a much nicer and more dynamic way than what Clio Grow can do. The second thing to compare is how these tools handle doing intake over time. So with Clio Grow, like the client can fill in the questionnaire, they can save their progress halfway through, right? So if we look at the questionnaire here, I can save my progress, but once they submit this, that's it. There's never any, oh, let's add some more information later and come back to it after. No, it doesn't help. It doesn't work like that. But that's oftentimes what happens in real life cases with clients is they fill in an intake questionnaire, they sit down with you for a meeting, and then after the meeting, like there's 3 other people that came up in the meeting that we need information on, but there's no way to go back into that form. So how do we get info on those 3 people? And there might be some missing info. I need some addresses, I need some date of births, I need some phone numbers for the folks that have been entered. And there's just no way to get that with Clio Grow. With DecisionVault, the client can log back in. So the first thing we do with a client when we get them into the tool is we ask them to create an account. And that's what makes it possible for them to log back in, to come back in later, even after a meeting with the attorney, to add this missing information. And then once you go into like drafting documents, you can lock the client out so they don't make changes without you knowing, but they can come back to this over time and add more info later. And then the third thing and final thing to compare here is how does the tool handle financial intake? Well, with Clio Grow, again, there isn't really a way, there isn't a component you can add here on the form builder to handle financial intake. So the best you can do is to add these text fields where the client is asked to type in that, okay, they have an account at Chase, there's $50,000 in it, and the owner is John. But when this is hard on the client because they have to list it all out, and then when you get this as inputs, you have to take that info and manually calculate to see how much do these people have, and it's just hard to handle the information. By contrast, in DecisionVault, we have sections that are purpose-built to handle asset intake, assets and liabilities, as well as income and expense. And here, this comes with a strong default, but you can customize that. And we do structured intake of the positive value of a house, the mortgage balance, the negative value of a house. We calculate automatically how that contributes to their net worth. And then on the back end, at the touch of a button, you can export that into a nice looking Excel sheet. So it really makes financial intake a lot easier on the client. Again, they can do this over time. They can fill in a little at first, they can come back and add more info later. And then once they've filled this out, at the touch of a button, you get a nice overview. So you can see what is their total net worth, how much do they own under each category. And you can take this info and then build different documents out of this sheet. And then finally, once we have all the info, once we have the whole list of contacts, I can sync those over into Clio Manage from here. I can make a selection, when this, because this is synced already, I'm making a selection. If this is not yet synced to Clio Manage, I'll have the choice of either searching in my Clio Manage matters and linking up to an existing matter, or creating a new one. And when I run the sync, it'll push over those contacts, and it's also possible to map additional information from the DecisionVault questionnaire or design sheet into your Clio matter level custom field. So we have another video on our YouTube channel that goes into greater detail, into a lot of detail, exactly showing you how you can use this sync with those matter level custom fields with the built-in Clio Manage document automation. Also, because we have all these related contacts here, those can get loaded into Clio Draft, former Laya, and be used to fill in your documents over there. So this is why you should consider adding DecisionVault to your stack with Clio to gather more contacts from your clients, to work with them on gathering information over time, and to do proper financial intake that can get easily exported and used. To learn more about DecisionVault, take the product tour on our website or start a free trial to try it out for yourself.